I'm afraid for my life. That's not a dramatization. I didn't make it up. These were the words of a man who sent an email to his HR department 5 months before he was killed by his coworker. I have to talk about this. When I saw this story, I was floored. One, I hate that workplace violence is on the rise the way it is, but I'm even more upset about how HR Handled it. It wasn't a situation where they didn't know. No, it was communicated with them several times. There was some action taken, but this was completely avoidable. And the gentleman that shot him, he shot him at work. So yeah, I'm going to get into this. My thoughts on HR and their failure to act with any kind of urgency or really take this gentleman seriously and what could have been done. And also, I want to hear from HR. I would love to hear for you guys to chime in on what were the best practices to avoid this situation. So without further ado, let's check out this story first.
Okay, what's going on there?
One of our employees just shot another employee.
Is the other person that shot him, did he drop his weapon?
Yes, I have it on the desk right now.
Stunning new developments tonight as Fox 5 continues to push the city of Las Vegas for answers after a deadly workplace shooting. City maintenance worker Bryson Kim is now charged with the murder of his coworker Joey McLean. Fox 5 filed requests for city records and learned their feud and management's knowledge of it dated back months before Kim allegedly shot McLean in the head the morning of June 12th. So what happened between the two City of Las Vegas employees ahead of that deadly shooting? Fox 5's getting the answers tonight. We filed a Freedom of Information Act request with the city seeking all emails, documents, or internal records mentioning HR complaints, requests for department transfer, or interpersonal conflict regarding or made by Bryson Kim or Joey McLean. And tonight, Kim Passoff went through the more than 1,500 pages of documents we obtained.
I am afraid for my life. Joey McLean wrote in a formal letter to HR months before he was killed on the job. New documents obtained by Fox 5 reveal McLean once considered coworker Bryson Kim a friend. But in February, McLean requested to move work sites, though he did not mention Kim specifically. He said he urgently wanted to transfer, quote, "If I could put this off until next shift bid, I would. Unfortunately, this is urgent. I need the city to be flexible and help." Within days, Kim filed an HR complaint against McLean for a number of reasons, including saying he unlatched the bottom latch on the bed of the dump truck, so when I went to close it, the whole bed fell off and almost crushed my feet. And he alleged McLean wrote, quote, "Keep it aloha" on his work truck. Kim told management that being Hawaiian, he felt the comment was directed toward his nationality in a negative or mocking manner.
Okay, let's just take a pause right there. So you have one coworker that is saying, I want to be moved. This is urgent. Okay, so did we address it with urgency? And then all of a sudden the other coworker, and he didn't name the guy. So it sounds like he was trying not to get anybody in trouble. He was just trying to get himself to safety. So then the other gentleman, Mr. Kim, there's this whole thing of, okay, I think he was discriminating against me. He did these other things. So now it feels like a back and forth. So I wonder what the investigation was. It doesn't seem like it was a lot. There's some more information about what HR did as a result, but it was escalating and their efforts did not meet the seriousness of what was happening. But let's keep going.
McLean also filed an HR complaint against Kim due to, quote, escalating events, writing HR, quote, "I am writing to reiterate the severity of this situation and to request immediate and definitive action to ensure my safety."
Okay, that's two times. Two times that he's saying, I want to reiterate. So obviously, this man was concerned. Even if they didn't have all of the information, movement should have been taken right there. And from what I understand, there were two letters or two emails that were sent to HR in February. Actually, it was like 10 days apart, February 12th and then February 24th, that he feared for his life. Things are escalating. His transfer request was actually denied. This is the part that just sickens me. HR's stance was basically, well, if we do it for you, we got to do it for everybody else. He wasn't asking for a different schedule, I don't know, to go to see his favorite sports team. This is a safety concern. So you're so worried about not giving other employees something this is silly. This is not, if I give you a piece of candy, I got to give everybody a piece of candy. That's not what this is. So they should have treated it as such. I do wonder if there were other complaints against that particular coworker. Let's see what else they got to say.
I am being actively stalked by Bryson Kim outside of work hours, which adds another layer of fear and intimidation to the situation. The combination of his delusions, steroid use, access to a firearm, and stated gang affiliation makes his threats credible and his behavior dangerously unpredictable. McLean also writing he expected a prompt response from HR. McLean was then placed on paid leave, his work badge deactivated so he would not have access to work sites. Managers debated if they would grant his request to change work locations, one writing, quote, I think we opened the door for one emergency transfer and we will have the same situation occur after every vacated position and staff will constantly request to move shifts for emergency reasons. Who decides if it's an emergency?
Can y'all not say no? Can you not say no? Let's say they did happen. Let's say the request was granted and then you get a flood of 15 people who say, well, I want to request move. Is there not a policy in place that shows what has to occur, what situation needs to be at hand for people to move? Or you could have just said no. And of course, they can't disclose the details of why person A was able to move and why you can't. But to say this is a sensitive matter, I don't get it. Was no not an option?
Waking up and taking your child to school, sleeping at night, eating lunch in the daylight hours, or watching football on Sundays may constitute an emergency to some. They both chose their shift. They need to learn to work together and have an amicable relationship.
Absolutely not. No. We're not talking about people arguing over sports team. We're not talking even about an argument or a disagreement. The man said he is showing up to my house outside of shift. And your response is they chose this shift. I understand that the goal of HR is to protect the company, but aren't the employees part of the company for you to be protecting? Nobody had any discernment to say things are getting worse. This was such a subpar response. It's disgusting to me, honestly.
The two men did work together again more than 24 times before the deadly shooting, but were assigned a separate task. Kim pleaded not guilty earlier this month. His murder trial is set for February.
Okay, in case you didn't catch everything, the employee that was like, hey, this is urgent, I'm really trying to move, they did put him on paid leave and they deactivated his badge, okay? But while he was gone, what discussion was there about what do we do about this to put a permanent stop to it? Like I said, they denied his request. June 12th, an argument broke out and Mr. Kim shot and killed Mr. McLean. This didn't have to happen. HR was not enough concerned about this person's safety. They were more concerned about not honoring a pattern. This was a liability calculation dressed up as a policy, but nowhere did I hear a violation of a policy to honor this man's request. It sounds like they were attempting to protect the system, but there wasn't really a system in place, which I think operationally was a problem within itself. Also, there seems to be lack of a decision maker in general in the HR department. I don't know if someone was passing the buck or not, but if an employee comes to you and sends up a flare It wasn't a suggestion, it was an opportunity to act somewhere. And for him to have to basically send you the same warning 12 days later, you acted by putting him on paid leave, but there was no solution or resolution, just well, they're just gonna have to get along. Nah. Let me zoom out for a second, because I know many of you maybe experienced something not to this degree, but where you felt like you weren't heard from HR. Maybe someone crossed a boundary, or there was repeated disrespect or hostile teammate. And when you go to report the issue, you're met with, well, you can handle it, or I don't want to set a precedent, or just try to be more professional about it. How did you feel after that? I'm sure you felt small. And that's exactly what that kind of response does. It's dismissive and it makes you shrink. So then if something else happens, you get to the point where you say, well, what's the point of reporting it? I'm just going to continue to absorb toxicity, which affects you in so many ways afterwards, including leaving the company, which is very expensive for them, by the way. In this case, Joey McLean didn't shrink. He spoke up about it. He spoke up about it clearly, and he did it more than once. And leadership just failed to receive it. Here's what accountability should have looked like in this situation. For one thing, a documented safety concern should have been addressed immediately, investigated immediately, and a resolution. We need a resolution. Shout out to Aaliyah, by the way. Needed to happen immediately. It should not have been put in the queue. They shouldn't have been waiting around and basically ignoring it. It should have been raised up the flagpole immediately. Secondly, dying on the hill of we want to set a precedent should not be a reason to ignore someone who feels like they are in danger. If anything, the precedent that they should have focused on is we make sure our employees are safe. We care about our employees' safety. That's what they should have focused on. And thirdly, blanketing a situation with just be more professional is not the answer to someone in fear. That's not an answer at all. Obviously, something was missing there. Training sure was an opportunity because somebody did not know how to be professional. They said to these people who, have hijacked emotions and other things, we're just going to put you back in the ring together and don't fight, okay? That's not an answer to fear, danger, or any of that. And as you can see from that clip, they took the man's gun and it's sitting on somebody's desk. Exercising leadership is managing risk, overall risk, looking at the full outcome. And they decided to look at the small thing in front of them as opposed to this huge thing that they have now. I'm sure lawsuits and other things are along the way. And honestly, it's well deserved. This was such a tragedy. And I've sent the prayer up for Joey McLean's family, but also for all the other coworkers who were in the midst of this. That's traumatizing for them as well. If you are an HR professional, please put in the comments your foresight, your insight on the situation, on how you think this should have been handled. And thanks for stopping by my channel. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Why not give it a hype while we're here? And I'll catch you in the next one.